You can call me the coordinator of Free Gaza on the ground here in Gaza.
You're a British citizen, as far as I know. How come that you are in Gaza right now?
I'm in Gaza because I came here on the fourth Free Gaza mission, and this was aboard the Dignity ship. It's a small fishing boat, effectively, has a capacity of about 23 people.
Yeah.
And this is how we managed to come from Cyprus to Gaza port. So people come in by boat because Israel has shut down all of the borders to Gaza. It is a hermetically sealed area. It's very difficult to even get aid supplies through the border. Journalists have been banned from coming into the Strip for over 2 months now, and Israel opened the border under pressure from through an Israeli High Court decision just for 1 day. So journalists came in, and if they came out, then they didn't get to go back in. If they stayed, then they're probably still here. But I have to say there's quite a lack of foreign journalists, Western journalists. They're very capable and competent and courageous Palestinian journalists here. But they have a problem in that they are lacking essential cables, even basics like tapes that they can use, and mixing equipment. And they've had their supplies held at the Erez checkpoint for 2.5 months. So they are in a desperate situation to even be able to carry out their work.
And Eva, I would like to know what the people are telling you that you meet out on the streets when you're out, and how the spirits are, how the people are in Gaza, and what you would like to tell to the outside world, or what they would maybe like to tell to the outside world.
People are afraid, people are feeling desperate, people are very strong and resilient, but there is a limit to people's patience, and they're very worried about the coming days, weeks, possibly years, and people are expecting the worst. All these attacks come on top of an already crippled infrastructure and medical health system, and really the message they've got is to stop Israel's attacks, stop the siege, open up the borders, and also for people to bring about a campaign of boycott, divestment and sanctions to restrain Israel, to boycott Israel, to isolate it, because it is behaving above the law. It is committing flagrant breaches of humanitarian law, massive human rights violations, and people here feel like they have nothing and nobody looking out for them and watching their back. People here talk about having only God above them and nothing else. And so people feel collectively abandoned and cheated when it comes to the application of humanitarian law and international standards and principles.
So the internationals, when you meet them, probably this means a kind of hope for them, even if you are just a few individuals.
Yeah.
What can the Hamas government right now still do for the people? I mean, does anything work or function?
There's what functions?
How do
the bakeries just about function? Yeah, I mean the hospitals function. Everything functions, but for instance, the industry is not functioning. Some industrial locations were bombed by Israel in the beginning of the Second Intifada and couldn't be reconstructed. And there's no imports or exports, so much of the industry is ground to a halt. You've got half-finished projects. So they aren't functioning. The electricity power station isn't really functioning at full capacity because it was damaged, I think, bombed by Israel a year and a half ago. Bakeries, when they can get flour, when flour is let in, are functioning. People are sharing what they have, and sharing their bread and sharing their money as well. For the 60% of people who are out of work. So it's in spite of Israel's closure and collective punishment that things are functioning. Part of it is because of the structure of Palestinian society and kinship networks and big families and lots of support, mutual aid, and the role of the mosque as well, and the role it's possible to objectively judge Hamas's influence within the Gaza Strip because there's so many external factors that are so, exceptional. But on the face of it, I think they've been doing a good job. And people talk that there's a lot of security, that compared to how things were under Abu Mazen, that you can walk freely now. People aren't as afraid as they were, and a lot of corruption has been diminished. I hear that there is corruption, but it's hard. It's hard to judge. When people are talking about Hamas, some people say the siege is all Hamas's fault, but I haven't heard anyone say that this attack, all this bombing, massacres are Hamas's fault, even though this is Israel's objective. But the policies of Hamas, it's hard to examine the policies of the government that's been held to siege for 18 months. Really, on the people that have been doing a really good job on the face of it. People are getting supplies of electricity and gas as best they can. I mean, it's hard, and they're not being able to access a lot of this on a regular basis. But it's difficult. The military resistance movement with a grassroots social network that is now in government, and I think for them they don't have the experience of being in this position. So it's not just a learning curve for them, but also they're under continuous attack, and they face their leaders being bombed to death.
How are you?
I'm tired.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I keep doing interviews and talking to people.
Eva, it's very quiet where you are right now. You're not in a family or something?
We're with a friend and his family, and it is quiet, but we're close to the border, and anything can happen. There have been bomb attacks. We've been hearing them. So we'll see what happens. Everyone's expecting an escalation of the Israeli Ministry of Defense said yesterday, but it's only the beginning.